Memoir is the story of your life, right? No, wrong. It's not, actually. Autobiography is the story of one's life, or memoirs, you'll sometimes see that with an S on them. Those tend to be the domain of famous people. So politicians sometimes write their memoirs, or actors or whatever, famous people of some kind, write their memoirs, which is the story of the whole life. And readers are interested in that because they know this person and they want to learn more. They want to know, where did they go to school, and who was their first boyfriend, and how did that marriage actually go from the inside, and how did they get into their current career, and so on. Those details are important because that person is well known to begin with. But memoir, by contrast, is not the story of a life. It is a story from a life. It is a narrowly focused aspect of life that the writer is choosing to explore and to plumb for meaning. So memoir is not just a series of things that happened. That's actually really dull for a reader if A, they don't know the writer, or if they're not involved in some way. So how do we turn our life story, if we're not famous, into something that is interesting? One of those ways, and what really defines memoir, is that it is narrowly focused on an aspect of the writer's life, and it is charting some shift, some transformation, some change in perspective. Sometimes it's an actual journey, a physical journey from A to B, but more often it's a journey from A to B in emotional terms or in psychological terms. In other words, it recounts an aspect of life which it is contained in some way. It might be a period of childhood, or a relationship, or a theme, or a journey. It can be a travel, a trip, a period of life in a certain address. Whatever it might be, it's contained. And the moment it is contained, the writer actually has tremendous freedom. One, to go all over in space and time and not get lost. But also, they have now the freedom to explore the depth of the story, because they're not trying to go everywhere. They're not trying to tell it all. And of all the mistakes that I have seen people bring to the table over the years, trying to do too much is the primary one. I would say the vast, vast majority of people are trying to include too much. And trying to include too much not only it makes for an extremely arduous process as a writer, and very often people fall to their knees and the project just cannot be completed because it's just too vast. But also, when we try to go everywhere, we end up going nowhere, in a sense. We can't plumb the depths of the story. We can only stay on the surface. And that's telling the story of all the interesting things that happened to me over my life. That can be fine at a party, say. But when it comes to memoir, what we need is that containment, that focus, so that a central theme can emerge, the meaning of the story can emerge, and so that there is a direction to the story, a purpose, a momentum, a focus. And that's what drives the story. That's what carries the reader's interest, is we're going somewhere for a reason. There's something at the end of this. It isn't just and then, and then, and then, and then, and then, and then. We might start the memoir that way, but that's just getting the material out. Now we have to look at, why does what happened matter? Why are we taking someone on this journey? Why would someone accompany us on this journey? And looking for that shift, that transformation, that shift in perspective, whatever it was that changed, that can help you chart the arc of the story and find the structure of it. And it can also help contain it and narrow the focus. And rather than thinking of that as being limiting, it's the opposite. It suddenly gives you the freedom, because you won't end up just getting lost in the wilderness of your life and not really knowing why we're including all of these things. The challenge will be not what to write about, By the time we get to the point where we're interested in writing about our lives, we tend to have far more material than we actually need. The difficulty is in deciding what not to write about. What are you going to leave out so that your story can have meaning and depth, and so that you'll finish it and it will hold together?